Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, the July-August vacation is quickly coming to an end, and our nation's children are preparing to return to school in September, less than 1 week away. Krista Ali, a psychologist at the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, is here today to give parents and guardians some tips on helping a child transition to secondary school, or as we often say, transition to big school. Krista, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Of course, always a pleasure to have you here. And I know that whenever we have you here, we're either going into the vacation period. Of course, we're coming out of the vacation period. But before we get into conversation, just give us an overview of your work at the authority.
So I am part of the investigations and the interventions unit at the Children's Authority. This is the unit where after all our reports are received through our hotline, we go out and investigate these matters to substantiate the cases. Some of them are not substantiated. We might do some referrals to external agencies to follow up, and then some of them we continue to monitor and intervene for a period of time.
So, and I asked you that question, of course, to get your wealth of knowledge and experience in the field, because we're talking this morning about transitioning children, from, primary school to big school or secondary school, as we usually say. And the obvious question that will come out is, how do we get children ready for that? And I ask that because when they pass for their school, of course, they either are the only one going to big school if it is their peers have not passed for the same school, or they may have met some of the people they may be starting Form 1 with, but they're still a bit unfamiliar. And so as parents and guardians, how can we get them accustomed to this new journey?
Yes, so this is a really important time for all of our children. Like you said, some of them might be going in with some other persons from their primary schools, and we find that those might be a little bit more at ease, or during the orientation period they might have gone, they saw some of their peers, and they're a little bit more comfortable. But some of them might now be going in for the very first time. They don't know anything about their school. Primary schools tend to be kind of smaller, and now you're going into this big school, and that's really what children call it. It's time for big school. So how do we prepare them for that? It's really a process where parents need to be heavily involved. Firstly, it shouldn't be starting right now where we're just a couple days away from school. This was supposed to have been ongoing. The main thing is to listen to what your child might be nervous about. Have that conversation with them to see exactly what their fears might be so that we can help to alleviate it. Help them understand the layout of the school as well. There's so much pictures on Facebook and stuff. I see a lot of schools have Facebook pages now. Yes. And a lot of things are on there so that, they can get a sense of what the school looks like. I remember when I now started secondary school, my mom came in and she peeped by the door and she said, the bathrooms are right down there. And for me, that was very helpful.
Yes.
So these are the type of things that we need to be doing. We need to listen to them, help them to acclimatize to what might be happening, reassure them that feeling this way, this nervousness that you're feeling, this is normal. And, it's going to go away. It's going to become easier. Let's not just write over what our kids are going through and make them feel bad or anything for this anxiety they're experiencing, because it's
like that you mentioned
natural.
That, Krista, because I know I've heard it many times before mentioned, well, you're going to big school now, so you have to do this, you have to do that. And so how can we caution parents against that sort of mentality?
Right. Well, it's not you have to do this and you have to do that. You have to teach me, right? Another example, children might be now starting for the very first time to travel to school. You give them some money and you send them out the door and say, all right, well, find your way. No, that's not the way that it's supposed to be done. The weeks prior, we need to be showing them, we need to be practicing with them what to do, teaching them about safety, because, so many things you're going to experience out there now. Talk to them about it. Let them know what some of the concerns might be, some of the new challenges that might come up in secondary school. Do some research if you need to, but just talk to them about your own experiences, other person's experiences, things that you might be seeing in the media. Let them know this might be coming up and what to do if in case. So we also encourage parents to prepare a little toolkit with your child. So just provide them with all of the things that they might need to get through the day, little things that they might need. Make sure that they have their medication with them. Make sure that they have emergency numbers to call. Children who have medical conditions, we as a parent need to ensure that the school is aware of your child's special needs and special circumstances so that they too feel a little bit more safe and comforted with going out to school. You know, what causes so much anxiety is the unknown, it's the instability, it's a lack of familiar routine. So we have to teach them what this new routine is going to look like, and that is going to come with some anxiety. Yeah.
Do you think children are going to be anxious as well if they're going into a different environment? So, for example, they may have attended a co-ed school, right? But now they're going into an all boys or all girls and vice versa. Is there going to be some anxiety when they're looking at that different environment as well?
Oh, yes. All of these type of things is what we need to start preparing them for, particularly those who might be going into a co-ed school for the very first time and being around the opposite sex for the very first time.
Yeah.
You know, but this is a good foundation to start building social relationships. And we need to, let them know that some of these people that they're meeting here, they're going to be friends for your lifetime. Yeah? So we need to talk to them about it, hear what their fears are, teach them, and we need to model good social relationships so that they know what it is they're going into and how to behave around these people.
And I like that you mentioned relationships because they're also going to be forming these friendships as well. And so how do you teach them the value of friendship, the value of, having this person in your life who's going to be a trusted friend for years on end?
So friendships really help to bring stability, and it helps you to feel a part of that group. This is why friendships in secondary school is so important, because nobody wants to feel like the outcast. Now, we have a lot of children who are social butterflies. We have no issues with them. They go to school, they're friendly, they know how to interact with people, and it's a great time.
Yes.
Who we want to focus on today would be the ones who are a little bit more socially. They have some social anxiety. They don't know how to easily make friends. But, as I read somewhere, it takes one, you like that too, to make a friend. This is what, it's having things in common is how we're going to make friends.
Yeah.
We have to let them know that these friendships are going to make their lives at school a little bit easier, even if it's one friend, one person to have a little bond with. And how we do that is also by modeling good, positive behaviors at home. Because if your child sees you saying that this person is my friend, but I'm always bad talking them on the phone with another
gossiping.
friend, you know what your daughter is going to do? They're going to go into school and do the same thing, right? We need to teach them at home how to share, how to be kind, how to not be the mean girl. Because that's a big thing right now. They're seeing it in TV shows all the time, that there's this mean girl
But
clique.
Krista, and so that brings up another point, because the mean girl often seems cool. And so how do you change their perception about what being a mean girl is? It basically is a bully, but then how do you change their perception?
Because we need to teach them about the long-term consequences of being that mean girl. It might seem fun when you're in secondary school, but then you go out into the real world and it's not that great. You're outcasted. You're always labeled as a mean girl, and you have, nobody to really have your back. You don't know what's real. You don't know which friendships are real. So we have to teach them about the long-term consequences of being a mean girl and let them know that this is just for TV entertainment purposes. It's not that fun out here.
Yes. And as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, I know that we are easing out of it, of course, but it is still an issue, especially how it affected our school children. Do you think that it would have affected them to the point where they may be a bit socially reclusive, if I might say, like they may not want to, interact with other people because they may have been home for a little bit longer and may not know how to make that adjustment?
So I think it's going to be different for every child. Children are so resilient. We're going to find that with most of them, the pandemic really didn't exist for them, and they're going to be able to go back out there and really enjoy being around people. Some of them, though, it's going to be a little bit jarring being around people so much people, even for us. Think about how it is for us. I went to the movies the other day and I was surprised to see so much people.
Yes.
And I was like, this is really what we were doing before the pandemic. Have people all up in your social space. So for our children, we need to be talking to them and understand a little bit about how they are perceiving going out back into that environment. And of course, prepare them for that. Let them know it's okay to take some time away if they need to. And we really need to monitor, find out in that first week of school how things are going. And if we feel like they're not adjusting properly and enough time has passed, maybe that's when it's time to bring in a professional, have them speak to somebody really to see what exactly might be going on, because not all children are able to acclimatize and to socially integrate. And these are the ones we need to be looking out for. teachers have a big responsibility in helping these children to build relationships in school, create little moments in the classroom for them to get to know each other so that nobody gets left behind.
Of course. And I know that this conversation focused on the transition from primary to secondary, but quickly, how can we also encourage parents, or what tips we can give parents for those little ones going out to the ECCEs, because of course they would also be going to an institution as opposed to just being home with mommy and daddy.
Oh, yes. So, it's really all about talking to them and modeling good, positive behaviors.
Even at that
home.
young age.
Oh, yes, because this is when we need to teach them how to share, how to interact with other children. Now, we're going to have hiccups, particularly for children who might be a single, the only child at home. We're going to have hiccups, but it's really the responsibility of the teachers as well, the persons who are there with them, to help create these social bonds and these relationships. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know this is a two-parter, so I know we're going to see you sometime soon again as we discuss the teenagers as well transitioning out of their school life, and how we can help them and guide them always. So always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
And that, of course, was Miss Krista Ali, a psychologist at the Children's Authority, just giving parents and guardians some tips on how they can help our young ones transition to secondary school, or as we say in TNT, big school. On the Now Morning Show, we're going to take a break. I'll be right back, but stay with us because we have so much more on the show.